San Francisco. It's 1906, April 18th, just after 5 in the morning. A 7.9 earthquake hits and destroys much of the city. Brick buildings crumbled into rubble, and as bad as the quake damage was, the fires that followed did amazing destruction. Now, these big fires devastated the city from the entire Mission District all the way to Twin Peaks, and everywhere east of Van Ness Avenue, the water mains broke, and there wasn't anything to do to put out the inferno, so the fire department turned to explosives. One ironic point was that many of the fires were started by firemen. They were trying to demolish buildings to create a fire break here and there, but a lot of the firefighters had no training in the use of dynamite, and they caused fires instead of creating fire breaks. Right off of Columbus Avenue, St. Francis of Assisi Church on Vallejo Street was just a skeletal shell. Devastation all around for blocks and blocks, which is why it's so amazing that only a block away, right around the corner on what was DuPont, the two-story establishment at the corner of Grant Avenue and Fresno survived. This is the Saloon. So this is it, Telegraph Hill. This is Fresno Alley. We're talking about Old Grant Avenue up here, Upper Grant, and this is the place. Survived everything. This is the Saloon. Let's head inside. The Saloon was established in 1861. It had a bar on the first floor of the building, and the second and third floors operated as a small brothel whorehouse that was frequented by a lot of the city's firemen. Legend has it that as the fires were racing towards Telegraph Hill, with the Saloon directly in its path, fire brigades surrounded their favorite brothel, trying to protect their girls, and they backed down the flames. It's said that the sturdy construction of the building and heavy beams that are on the floorboards and up in the ceilings helped the building survive the quake, and it survived the fire because the working girls were so beloved. Now, back in 1861, the original owners, Ferdinand Wagner and his sons, applied for a water permit for Wagner's Beer Hall. It was originally established as a grocery store, but Wagner decided very quickly that he'd rather sell drinks than food. And they've been selling libations to thirsty patrons for the past 150 plus years. Since 1966, the Mew family has owned the building, and these days it's Myron Mew that runs the Saloon. But this isn't exactly what he had planned for his life. So here we are at the oldest bar in San Francisco with its lovely owner, Myron. How you doing, Myron? Good morning,
I'm
sir.
fine. How are you?
Wonderful. Good, good. I want you to tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the Saloon and how long you've owned it.
I often get asked, is this the oldest bar in San Francisco? It's been a bar since, 1861, they say. And it's been here since.
Here on when Grant Avenue was DuPont, I think it was called?
Yes, that's correct.
DuPont, yeah. And it was DuPont through Chinatown, too, correct?
Yes. My parents called it a Dubon Gai, which is Chinese. You know, they use the same phonetics. So when I was growing up, even though it was Grant Avenue, they still referred to it as DuPont.
I love that. Old school. 1861. The bar still looks 1861, and I say that in a complimentary way. I love that. The back bar, there's usually an interesting history. What do you know about this back bar here, Myron?
You know, the only thing I know is that it came around the horn, so I don't know where it was built, but that's what I was told.
How about the stained glass?
Well, the stained glass was, I forget, I don't know exactly when it was put in. I would think maybe the 60s or 70s by a lady named Judy Smith. It's part of the Saloon now, and it's quite interesting.
Oh, it's gorgeous. You made your living as a French horn player.
That's correct.
That's awesome.
Mostly commercial work, what they call jingles, recordings.
Sure.
And mostly show stuff at the Curran Theater, Orpheum Theater in Golden Gate.
Nice.
So I had this music background. And while that was happening, the Saloon introduced music in the 70s by its previous owner. His name was Tommy Browning.
I think that's interesting. That
Yeah.
You didn't really want to be in the bar business.
Yeah, that's true, because I didn't know anything about it and never had any business experience when I was asked if I would take it over and reopen it, especially for the musicians that really needed a place to work. And I realized that the music's quite important.
Important? It's as much a part of the bar as the back bar is.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. The lady that asked me to take over the bar, her name is Lisa Kindred. She still plays here on the first and third Tuesdays of every month. Excellent singer. And so I give her credit for dragging me in here. When my father got it in the 60s, he told my brother and I, he wanted us to run the bar. Of course, I wasn't a bar person. You know, I didn't drink. You know, I didn't go in bars. I thought he was crazy. You know, and so I always think about that every once in a while because he's probably smiling in his grave now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. What? No, you don't drink. You don't hang in bars. I don't know if you drink now, sir, but you do hang in bars. A little
That's
bit.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've certainly grown to like it. It's a terrific place.
It's a wonderful place with a great spirit. Myron, let me tell you this. I know people in North Beach here. I've never met you, but it's been a pleasure sitting here with you in your beautiful bar. And I know the people in North Beach, a lot of people that I love, absolutely love you. They said, you got to go down and see Myron at the Saloon. I'm very serious. The Saloon has all the history, and as a watering hole, they pour a great stiff drink. But there's one other reason to head up Grant Avenue and head to the Saloon. It's the music. For years now, the Saloon has been one of the best places in the city to hear some of the most amazing bands around. And if you like the blues, you've come to the right place.
I've been playing here about 10 years, and I'm grateful because it's the coolest place to play in San Francisco. It's pretty much the closest thing to a Chicago, Southside Chicago blues bar there is. Well, it's hot and sweaty and a lot of fun. I mean, it's the most fun scene I've ever played. I played a lot of clubs, and this is the most fun. There's a mix of people. There's people from the neighborhood. There's tourists. There's foreigners. There's Japanese, Europeans. There's every kind of people you could imagine. And then there's also the locals from the neighborhood. There's big stars from the 60s that hang out in here. There's all kinds of people.
I've probably been playing at the Saloon about 25 years, and it's probably my favorite place to play. I enjoy playing blues at the Saloon because people come in here from all walks of life, rich, poor. There's junkies, there's businessmen, you name it. They all come through here at one time or another. Sometimes all at the same time, so it can be really entertaining, actually.
The audience here is just great. They're fabulous. A lot of people are out of town and they love hearing the blues. They actually listen to the band and they get up and dance and they just have a good time. It always has this great energy.
Most music venues have a house band, and the Saloon has several that rotate on different days and nights. There's almost always a jam going on. Music, you love it, you head to the Saloon. But out of all the acts that have played over the years, there's one special musician that touched the hearts and souls of the Saloon regulars.
Johnny Nitro was a real legend and a San Francisco legend, and there's not really much you can say about him. You had to experience his world. He told jokes and he just knew how to get a crowd going. And he was a great guitar player, and he had a great stage presence. You were guaranteed. You came in here on a Friday or a Sunday night when he was playing. You were guaranteed the place was going to be wall to wall packed. People were dancing.
You have to have been here on a night when Johnny was really rocking the house to know just how well he rocked the place, because he'd really get it going. And he knew how to talk to the audience. He had a million one-liners.
Yeah, the one thing I remember is just during the performance. I think it was New Year's Eve, and it was very crowded. And I just remember just standing here listening to him thinking, Jesus, what a great band this is.
The memorial that we had here was a little bit scary, actually, in here. I got a seat for the memorial early, and I literally could feel the floor bowing. There must have, I don't know how many people were in here, 1,000 people? I mean, it was Bert, what do you think? How many people were in here for Johnny's memorial? 500?
Oh, something like maybe throughout the day. I mean, it fills up with what, 70 or 100.
But I'd never seen it like this, and literally, I was a little afraid because I could actually feel the dance floor and the floor, this wooden floor, actually starting to bow under the weight of all the people that were here. And I mean, every single heavy hitter from the West Coast was here to play with the band in memorial of Johnny. So it was quite an event. I was lucky I was here. It was a real send-off, you know. A lot of great players, great band, and the place was just packed. I mean, it was beyond packed. It was scary. I thought the place was going to fall through. The floor was going to fall through.
Almost every bar has its special bartender, and the saloon's no different. When you come here, you come on in and you get a drink and hang with Sherry. This is Sherry, a staple here at the saloon since, did you just start bartending?
Yeah.
That's right. And how long you worked here?
Seasoned. On that side, over 30 years. This side, about 6.
That's right. And how did you get started at the saloon?
Oh, now that is a very interesting question.
That's why
because
I asked it.
I
ask interesting questions.
I happen to live around the corner from Myron Mew, the owner of this establishment, and I was a legal secretary at the time, but I used to walk by. But when I started bartending, I used to try to say hello to him.
Yes.
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. The day that I started working here, I found out what a wonderful man he is, and what a quirky sense of humor he has. And he goes, "Well, I don't talk to outsiders," which I thought was very funny.
Yes.
Sense of humor. And then anyway, he told me that there's a woman that lives upstairs in one of the old bordello rooms, and it was her birthday a couple weeks before, and she had asked me, she doesn't have a car, she asked me, would you mind buying me a birthday cake and I'll pay you for it? And I said, nobody should have to buy their own birthday cake.
Right. I like the attitude. Okay.
And Myron goes, a bartender with character. And he says, first he started, would you like to know why you were picked? I said, picked? Yeah, I want to know.
You're one of the chosen ones.
But that was a damn good reason.
That's awesome.
Let's hear some.
We got here. Cheers, baby.
Salute.
To the saloon.
To the saloon in Myron. One of my favorite stories was when, it's a touching story, when Johnny Nitro and the Doors singers, Johnny Nitro died on a Saturday night, but Friday night he had played here, and he had played here for over, I'm going to cry, over 25 years. And Saturday night he died. I was coming down the street. Anyway, Sunday night, Tommy Castro had arranged between less than 24 hours, and there were more musicians, standing outside than customers trying to get in to play for him. There's so many stories, but that was incredible because he lived upstairs. We saw him he was here 2 nights, Friday, Sunday night, for over 25 years, and we kind of took him for granted. And when he died, and he supported and promoted these young kids that didn't have anything, for themselves over in Marin, to learn how to play music and stuff like that. And on Sunday nights, he used to let them come up on stage before he started his show. Yeah. And it was incredible how many people he touched their lives.
The regulars here are an interesting bunch, a breed of their own. They have families, but to many of the patrons, the saloon is home. Over the years, they've formed friendships that have lasted right to the end. So this is interesting up here. What is this, Myron?
Okay, this is it turns out to be our obituary corner. And, you know, when one of our close friends die, we usually put their picture up, and then we end up not taking the pictures down. So at least most of them are still here anyway. So you can see there's just different people. Some are actually worked here, and some was old customers.
It's a nice tribute.
Yeah, and when I look at it, it brings back some memories too.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
I think what's really interesting about the saloon is a local guy did a book recently. He took photos of the regulars and he called it Saloonatics. And you come in here and the local flavor is pretty interesting. Folks are pretty interesting that hang out. There's people that have lived here all their lives that are in their 80s and 90s that are hanging out in here. There's just every kind of person you could imagine in here from the neighborhood, and it's just an interesting mix, and that's what's cool about it.
This place is just a totally eclectic cast of characters. It's a totally neighborhood bar, and at nighttime it thrives. And one of the best things I love about it is I meet people from all over the world, all over the country, and they come in and we make them welcome, and they love it.
For history in San Francisco, you can't get much older than this great joint. For music, you're not going to find much better, especially when it comes to the blues. Drop in and experience some of the unique vibe that is the saloon. In North Beach, there are a lot of options when you want entertainment, but none can compare to the special cocktail of booze and blues that the saloon offers.